Hey everyone, welcome to the 5th episode of the Team Up Now podcast. Today we're talking about building with values versus chasing scale. And today I have Eiza, my lovely co-founder, with me.
Hi everyone, hi Jules.
So today is a really important one for us because we look at our, when we spoke about in the first podcast, when Eiza and I decided to team up now together, we did it with the idea of values being absolutely everything that the business is based on. And that can be anything as small as using a stock image on our Instagram page. Like, that's not something that we do because we show our real people, we show our real selves. So for us, like, this is a very important topic. Eiza, did you want to talk about maybe a moment where you felt that our values could have been tested, and like how do you deal with that scenario?
Oh yes, for sure. Wait, let me have a think about it. I think one moment that really stand out for me was when we had to pause services with a client due to unpaid invoices. It was a tough call. Both you and I, Jewel, we've been we just wanted to go about about it, but it was.
Yeah, we want to help. We want to help
because,
the client and the staff member. Because everybody loses out.
You and I think we are very similar. So we hate letting people down. But it was actually in that kind of situation where our values are really being tested, because we always said that we want to build Team Up Now based on fairness and respect, right? So it's not just only for our clients, but also for our team members. So in that moment, standing our ground meant that we are actually respecting the hard work of our people. And it also reminds me that our core values should just not they don't only sound good on papers, but they guide how we actually run this business, even if it's uncomfortable. So I think it's one of those moments that I felt like, I think this is what heart-led, people-centered, really looks like in practice, right?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think a lot of companies would have ended it very much sooner in terms of we put up with more than most would, because we do feel for the client and for the staff member, but it's also about having responsibility at the end of the day, right? So we have, close to 30 staff members now. And unfortunately, sometimes we have to think about the good of the many over the good of the few.
Yeah, that's very true.
We're both learning.
I know. I mean, it's really easy for us to talk about it now, but when it was happening, it was really a tough one for the both of us. And I think it also teaches us about creating healthy boundaries as well. So we're continuously learning, and we're so glad that we actually did stick to our values, Jewel.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So Jewel, from your finance background, you've seen businesses chase growth at all costs, right? So why do you think so many fall into that trap?
Look, I think growth is sexy, right? Like, it's something that, for accountants it is. No, but I think people are always chasing the next big thing or the next thing. And that's why growth is, one of those things that's very measurable in terms of business success, and it's very easy to compare to other businesses. I think with Team Up Now, we are less, we care more about building something that's sustainable long term, both for ourselves but also for our clients and our staff, rather than going after the easy wins, because it just makes sense on a long-term basis. I think companies that are very quick to chase short-term growth, which kind of forget what they do and what they where they came from, and then just like go for anything that kind of comes, they often struggle long term because they forget their identity. And that's something that like I'm very cognizant of, and I know you are too, Eiza. Like we have to keep ourselves as we go through this and as we grow, and we've grown significantly this year, but we have to keep what we're doing the same. And I think that's something that or a lot of companies that don't that chase that short-term growth and do whatever they can to get it, they lose that, and they lose out in the long term.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything you said, Jewel. And I think because with us, I mean, we've been through we've been through different roles as well. So we've been in the corporate world, and we've worked with startups, businesses. So I think we've learned from that experience as well. So but if you are if you are new in the business, it is very easy to get hooked into like growing fast. So
yeah, for sure. So how have our values shaped the way that you make decisions about hiring and training?
Okay, that's a good one. So I think for me, our values are like a filter that I run every decision through. So so when it comes to hiring, it's not just about whether the people have the skill set. So both you and I, Jewel, we've seen a lot of technically capable people, but they're not like the best cultural fit, right? So in training, it is similar. So I'll make sure that it's not just about how you do the job, but about building trust, encouraging initiative, and showing that we value them first as humans. And I think that's why we put emphasis on onboarding, ongoing check-ins, and also, building this healthy space for growth. So I know it's not the easiest way to scale, but I believe it's the most sustainable one. And I think that's what makes Team Up Now different. Do you agree, Jewel?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like Angelica is our most recent hire. I think she's a great example of that. And I hired her mostly based on values. She's come from a background where she's worked in call centers before, which has actually given her great training of structure and organization. But, she hadn't done a VA role, she hadn't done social media type stuff before. And for the work that I needed to do, she's absolutely killing it. And, if we just went on a model where we only look at her skills and what she's done previously and experience, there's no way she would have been hired, and we would have not had a great staff member that could be with us for a long time. So I think that for me, it comes back to values, but it also comes back to actually caring and putting in the time and onboarding properly, and acknowledging what she's good at and what she needs a little bit of help with, and all that kind of stuff. And that just takes it takes time, but if you put that time in, you actually get an amazing staff member that understands 100% what you want.
Yep, definitely. Yep. So so Jewel, how do you reconcile our values with the hard numbers?
So for me, it comes back to the win-win-win model that we have. So for us, we believe that. Can you share
an example?
Yeah. So I mean, for me, I think that if I bring it back to hard numbers, what we charge to a client is higher than most outsourcing companies, but that also allows us to give our staff members more share, which means that we're paying more than most of our competitors for our team, and that means that we have really hardworking, loyal staff, and they're really they really want to work for our clients. So what that actually means is less retention rate on the other side. So we don't have staff that are leaving us for $1 or $2 at another at another BPO or call center or something. And, you know, in the long run, paying a little bit extra means that you actually keep the staff member for longer, because everybody knows training costs, you know, that's something that nobody wants to go through. Recruitment costs, trying to find somebody else, that's not something that somebody wants to go through. It's much better to keep your staff for as long as possible, you know, if they're good staff. So for us, you know, our values say that we want fair pay for our staff, but we also want amazing service for our clients. And at the end of the day, the hard numbers are that, you know, we profit from that because we don't have to, you know, we don't have to re-recruit because a staff member's left. We don't have to spend more time because we've hired somebody that isn't the right person for the role. So I think for us, you know, even though we are paying staff more, the hard numbers actually still come out in front for us.
Yeah, and I think, you know, being ethical is more about being humans, you know. Like, I think it's what sets us apart with the other businesses because of the human touch that we actually give to our people. And also, like, even, like, especially with you, Jules, like, you've been very active lately, you know, sharing your personal thoughts and personal opinion about, you know, the industry, and you actually empowered a lot of, you know, even it goes both ways. Like for clients, you inspire them to work with us, to partner with us, because they actually the values that we have resonates with them. And for, you know, for talents, like they're also coming to us because it's you know, it's very refreshing to find a company or an agency that actually like values them as humans. You know, somebody who actually like, you know, talks to them and give them feedback. So it's like not a lot of businesses are doing that right now. So
yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, so I think yeah, we've done a good job in that one.
Yeah, we can pat ourselves on the back.
Yeah, yeah.
Have there been any clients that we've walked away from because they didn't align with our values?
Yes, of course. I think it's similar. It's a similar example that I gave in the beginning. So yeah, you know, when we both of us when we decided to pause services with this client because of unpaid invoices, and yeah, it was I think it was one of the toughest thing that we did to this date. I mean, you know, we're still very in the early stage of the business, and for us to, you know, to make that kind of decision is very hard. But yeah, I don't have regrets, and it actually teaches us so much about ourselves and, you know, about, you know, doing business. And I think it also teaches the clients about, you know, about being fair and being respectful of our time and of the hard work that our team members are doing as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think also there have been instances where people have come to us and, you know, they've wanted to get a lower rate, and we've always pushed back on those potential clients because, you know, we're not willing to go below what we think is a fair rate for our staff.
Yeah.
And also, you know, it's not fair for us just to be the one that misses out. Like, obviously, we're running a business at the end of the day, even though we are ethically led, we still have to pay the bills. So for us, I think that's another time that, you know, there are potential clients that we've had where we just had to say, look, you know, this is our price. We know there's other cheaper potential partners to work with. Here's the mathematics of what that potentially means for the staff members that you'd be hiring. It's up to you to make that decision as to which way you want to go. I think that's, you know, that's what we can really do.
That's true. I'm really loving this conversation, Jewel, because, you know, back in the days when we are talking about these things, yeah, we both of us, we are really having hard time, like with our, how much we are willing to sacrifice, for clients, for potential clients. And in the very beginning of the business, we just wanted to have quick wins as well ourselves. But then we sort of gone back to the reasons why we're doing this business together. And it's very I'm glad that we actually stick to the values that we have. So I don't think we are where we are right now if we haven't done that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I think when, I've said this on the first podcast, when I first started Team Up Now, before we met, I don't think it stood for anything. I think I had the personal values, and I was always, who I am. But I didn't, that wasn't portrayed in the business. And if we do things that go against everything, I'm very active on LinkedIn. I just hit the 10,000 followers yesterday, by the way.
Oh, it's crazy. You started from what? Below 2,000?
Yeah, it was like 4 months ago or something.
Yeah, it's mad.
So I think, like, if I'm saying all these things, we can't be doing those things, and that's really key to our success, is that we don't stop our values and just take quick wins. We do what we say we're going to do, and that flows through everything that we do.
Yep. Yeah. So in relation to that, Jules, so if we chased revenue above everything, so where do you think would be today, and what would we have lost in the process?
I don't know where we would be, to be honest, because you get into, like, honestly, like, the only way to really chase revenue and just go after everything that you can get is to be the cheapest. That's it's just a race to the bottom. You have no USP. Like, if we compare ourselves to the big BPOs, if we're going to go just chase revenue, we're much smaller. We're much more boutique. Our time is very important to clients, and they, we spend a lot more time with our clients. We wouldn't be able to do any of that, but then we also don't have, the infrastructure and stuff that they have from the big offices and all that. So I actually can't even think of where we would be. I don't think we would have a business. I think we would be back working full time for the man instead of working for ourselves.
Yeah, I think that's more like it. I think that's for sure. I think it's an easier option to just go back to to the old ways, the comfortable ways. So
I think our USP, the reason why clients want to work with us is because we are different. So if we weren't different, then why would anyone want to work with us? That's kind of the way that I see it.
Yeah, that's true.
So what's one personal sacrifice that you've had to make in order to stick to your principles?
Honestly, Jewel, the biggest sacrifice I've made was walking away from financial security when I decided to close my first outsourcing agency. And that company was my baby. I poured 5 years of my life into it, and yet I know deep down that I couldn't keep going the way it was. People weren't being treated in a way that sat right with me, and it felt like I was betraying myself by pretending that everything was fine, even though it's not. And that moment, it broke me big time. I lost not just, I lost not just my income, but I think I've also lost some identity that I thought I've built. And then life hit harder. I became a single mom. I started from zero again, and I was holding Manu in my arms and wondering like how I'd rebuild. Yeah, but here's the thing: as painful as it was, that sacrifice cracked me open, and it made space for something more aligned and something more heart-led. And it taught me that sticking to your values isn't glamorous. It's actually messy, it's scary, and it's lonely sometimes. But you know what, Jules, I don't have any regrets, because I'd rather lose everything than losing myself. And yeah, and that sacrifice actually led me to where I am now, here at Team Up Now, building this with you. So yeah, I have no regrets.
Yeah, obviously, thank you for sharing, Eiza. I know, like, these topics are not the easiest for you to speak about, but you do it so well. So, very proud of you.
Yeah, thank you, Joel. I mean, you've been a very big part of everything, and yeah, I thank you for pushing me to be better, and yeah, like being here right now, like showing up for this podcast is one of those things. So I'm really grateful for your support and for the trust that you have in me. So yeah, thank you so much.
Obviously, the same goes back to you.
Yeah.
I think we both
All right.
know.
Yeah. So how about you, Jewel? So what's the hardest decision you've made as a founder where values and growth were pulling in opposite directions?
For me, it's not necessarily even as a founder. I think, I've turned down job opportunities. I've left workplaces just because it didn't align with where I wanted to go. So I think for me, it's not just about being a founder where you have to make these type of, decisions that can affect you financially, to keep your values intact. I think for me, it's kind of every decision that you make in life. As a founder, there's obviously been things where, in Team Up Now, but also in previous businesses that I've been involved in where, you could have chased the quick win. And my feeling is always that you don't. I think you stick to what the business is known for, and I wouldn't work for someone that didn't have great values. So for me, being part of a value-led business is something that's really important to myself. So I think it's more just, if I see something that I don't like, I'm going to call it out, no matter what the financial impact is to me. And I think that's not just in business, but as part of everyday life as well. So, Eiza, what advice would you give to another founder who feels the pressure to cut corners on their values?
Oh, that's a good question, Jules. And honestly, my advice is don't. I mean, cutting corners might get you quick wins. I mean, we've always talked about that, but it actually erodes trust. So trust with your people, trust with the client, and eventually with yourself. Yeah, so for me, slow growth with integrity always outlasts shortcuts. So my advice would be, just play the long game. It compounds.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so Jules, do you think it's possible for a business to scale faster because of the values rather than despite them?
I think it definitely is. I think Team Up Now is a living proof that, as I mentioned earlier, if we didn't have the values that we have, we wouldn't have a business today. I can almost guarantee that. I think, potentially if we just gone for the quick wins and the low cost outsourcing model, then maybe we would have got lucky. But I think the safer bet was actually going with our values and really sticking to it on a day-to-day basis. And the people that we've met along the way, people like Anna Sankova, who's our coach, like people like that, we just wouldn't have met if we'd gone down the other path of just going for quick wins. So I think for me, I think that Team Up Now is a living proof that you can scale a business with the values in mind and stick to those values. And I think that we wouldn't have had the success that we had if we hadn't done that. So for me, the answer is yes. I do think it's possible to scale a business with values still intact.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with everything you said, Joel. Again, so we always go back to that, to our values. And I mean, we're not here for the short term, right? We're here for the long run. So I think, it might not be the easiest and fastest way, but yeah, I mean, for us, it's the most sustainable way of doing the business.
Yeah, for sure. So we're wrapping up soon, but I've got a quick one that we can both answer. So if you were to look 5 years ahead, how would you want people to describe Team Up now? Not in numbers, but in reputation.
So if we look at 5 years down the line, it's not about how many people we've hired or how many clients we've signed up for. It's all about the reputation. So did we change the way people see about outsourcing? And did we prove that ethical, heart-led business isn't just possible, but powerful? So I think that's what really matters. How about you, Jewel?
Look, I think for me, like, you know, it's going to be very difficult for me to say something different to what you've just said, because obviously we have aligned values and we're, you know, very aligned on what we actually want from this business. But I would say that are we game changers? And that's, you know, that's the thing. It's like, it's all very well for us to do the right thing, but if everyone around us is not, it doesn't really change anything, you know. I think that if we can say that we've led a change in outsourcing, so that, you know, there's so many more businesses that are copying us, that's kind of like, you know, the goal, right? Like, and then it actually becomes a even playing field. But, you know, we're the OGs, so we can hold on to that forever. So I think for me, that's, you know, I think for me that's the most important thing, is that we've actually led change. And
and you are an embodiment to that, Jewel. Like, you're living it every single day, and I'm really glad to be partnering with you on this one, like, and doing this this movement together. The
feeling's obviously mutual, Eiza, because I think you know, it's the yin and yang, right? Like we have very similar value sets, but obviously, you know, we come at things from a very different way, and I think we meet in the middle and don't have too many bus stops, and then, you know, that's when that change like actually happens, because we have two very different mindsets coming from two very different places. You know, you were a freelancer in the past, a remote worker. I'm coming from, you know, the client side, onshore, but we can meet in the middle, and that's kind of like where the magic is. And, you know, that's our USP, is the empathy that we can have from that. And obviously, you know, sometimes that empathy has to be kept in check by other people. Hi, Ma. But, you know, I think that's, you know, that's where it's special, is that we see both sides, and, you know, we think the same.
So I think that's the very core of it, Jewel. So because we're not just scaling work, right? So we're scaling dignity, purpose, and care as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's actually a perfect way to end, Eiza. I think what you just said, I don't think we can top. So I want to thank everybody for watching the Team Up Now podcast, episode 5. We've got a few cool ones coming up in the next couple of weeks. The next one is going to be a candidate and a recruiter on a podcast. So that'll be interesting for everyone.
That's interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah, so that is something that you shouldn't miss. Yeah, especially for those who wanted to land a job and who wanted to be working for us, most especially. So you'll get a lot of good tips from that podcast. So we're hoping to see you there.
Awesome. Thanks,
Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you, Jewel.
Bye.
Bye.